So what is earnest money and what does it even go towards? Well, stay tuned because you're about to find out. Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Taylor Dardano and I'm a realtor in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell. I'm here every other Tuesday to cover all things real estate and you don't want to miss out. So what is earnest money? Earnest money is a good faith deposit that you as the buyer pay to the seller to show them that you are serious about buying their home. And in return, the seller will take their home off the market for you. Now, earnest money is usually paid at the time an offer is made or within 3 days of your offer being accepted. Now, this money is then deposited into what's called escrow within your first week of being under contract and is held there until closing. Now, an earnest money deposit isn't only there to show the seller that you're serious about buying their home, but it's there to protect the seller in case you as the buyer back out after deadlines have passed and contingencies have been met. In other words, it protects the seller against any damages if you are ever in breach of contract. In the state of Florida, following your accepted offer, you as the buyer have something that's called a 10-day due diligence period. This time frame is built in for things such as inspections for your home, termite, and maybe even septic, and is really there to make sure that you really want to proceed with purchasing this home. It's also not a bad idea to make sure you get to know your neighborhood and maybe even drive those routes to school, work, or church, and do them at the time frames you would actually be taking those commutes. Because if your commute to work takes a lot longer than expected at 7:30 in the morning, or you really just decide this isn't the home for you, well, as long as you're within that 10-day due diligence period, you are entitled to your earnest money deposit. Now, there are also contingencies that can affect your earnest money deposit. The inspection contingency, everything checks out and we're happy with what we're getting. The finance contingency, you get qualified for your loan. And the appraisal contingency, the home appraises at or above what you're looking to pay for it. If you are unable to obtain financing because you lose your job or interest rates skyrocket and you no longer qualify, even though you were pre-approved, or if the home appraises below what you're looking to pay for it, or if something pops up on the inspection and doesn't make you feel comfortable purchasing the home anymore, then, as long as you are within the contingency timeframes, you are entitled to your earnest money deposit. But what happens after that 10-day due diligence period, or if you pass all contingencies and then decide to back out? Well, at that time, not only has the seller potentially lost out on the perfect buyer, but it's wasted their time and money. So in this case, the seller is likely to be entitled to your earnest money deposit, hence why it's there to protect the seller. Now, this is one of the many reasons to make sure you're working with a licensed realtor who will educate you and keep you up to date on deadlines. The last thing we want to happen is for you to lose out on your earnest money for simply not paying attention to the calendar. Now, how much is an earnest money deposit? An earnest money deposit is typically 1 to 3% of the sale price of the home. So, the more you put down, the more serious it tells the seller you are about buying their home. But it's also more money you're willing to lose if you are ever in breach of contract. So before you pay anything, ask yourself this: is this really the home you want? And if so, are you going to be on top of those deadlines and use your due diligence period wisely? And finally, what does your earnest money deposit go towards? Your earnest money deposit gets put towards your down payment or your closing costs. Most commonly, your closing costs. So in this case, if your closing costs are $5,000 and you put $2,000 down, well, they already have that $2,000 in escrow, so all you have to bring is $3,000 to the closing table. Now, if you're asking what an earnest money deposit is, you're probably also wondering what other steps and costs there are when it comes to buying a home. And if that's the case, make sure you check out this video to ensure you're well prepared and ahead of other competing buyers when the time is right. Thanks for watching. See you guys soon.